to have you here.
Hey, Thomas, very stoked to be here. And it's been long in the making, so very, very excited that today's the day.
Today is the day. Today is the day we are talking about different things, including infrared sauna. First, let's say, because we understand post-pandemic, people are a lot more aware about their health than they were before. And the numbers show that consumers, actually, 88% of consumers in the UK, Germany, and even in the US, are looking a lot more into alternative solutions. So it's 3 times more than they were before the pandemic. And today we're going to talk about infrared sauna because simply you are the CEO and founder of Infrared Sauna. It's very becoming more and more popular for people who want to prioritize their health. And we're going to explain the reason why it's become so popular. And also we're going to explain, depending on the test result that people get on the Omnos platform, we do recommend ourselves the option of going for infrared sauna, right? So yeah, Johannes, good to have you again. Let's talk a bit more about first the introduce in your own words the business, the company, Infrared Sauna, the vision, the mission. Tell us everything.
Sure. I mean, thanks for the intro. I run Clearlight Saunas in Europe, as well as Australia and New Zealand, together with my business partner. And we started, I think it was 9 years ago, when we sort of realized that there was literally a lack of really high quality, therapeutic, safe, effective infrared saunas all over Europe, Australia, New Zealand. Infrared saunas have been around for almost 25 years. That's when sort of the longest standing companies, primarily in Europe, existed. Some, traditional Scandinavian companies that essentially migrated into that. But most of them were really catered for generic wellness. I mean, sauna rituals have a long, long history, thousands of years. And no matter in which ancient culture you look, heat treatment and heat therapy in general has always had a very high standing and was very much appreciated by these ancient cultures. We could sort of look into sweat lodges with the ancient Indians, the Finnish culture or Scandinavian culture, where the word sauna is literally cultural heritage. So, they have an official definition of what a sauna is. And I love all of that. But then, I know, we've obviously been to Helsinki and, had a sauna there. We've been to London. So, definitely had our...
On this, actually. I met the morning I arrived, I went to meet Miko, who is one of the co-founders of Four Sigmatic. And we met in a sauna. So the first time I see the guys, we were naked, shaking hands in the sauna. Nice to meet you. Proper Finnish way. So it was interesting.
100%. And that's what you do. And I grew up in Germany and, obviously live internationally now across various countries and continents, but always enjoyed it. I think I may have to explain quickly what the difference for an infrared sauna is, as opposed to a traditional sauna. So everyone really knows what a traditional sauna is, I hope. It's literally a room or a cabin. You get a stove in there and an oven. It can be wood-fired, can be, 3-phase electricity, often consumes a lot of electricity, up to 8 or 10 kilowatt per electricity per running it. And it literally is hot air, which is terrific, really great ritual. Infrared saunas work a little bit differently. It's not so much about the hot air in the room, but it's really about raising your core body temperature. So you don't really have a stove in there, but you get infrared heaters embedded into the wall. And these infrared heaters emit infrared light. And, near infrared is part of the sunlight. It's super healthy for you. Obviously, we need to make sure that we don't burn because, that is not healthy. But these infrared wavelengths enable us to raise our core temperature, and as a consequence, we start sweating. You don't have hot air temperatures in there. You get sort of 40 to 65 degrees, maybe 70 degrees maximum, and it builds up over time. So you don't need to have 90 degrees or 100 degrees, which for some people feels really intense and almost, they are fainting to some extent. with an infrared sauna, it's a lot more gentle, but at the same time, because you stay in there longer and you only do it once, your core temperature can raise by up to 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees Celsius, which is 38.5 degrees. So that's already a fever that you're inducing, through sitting in the sauna, sweating, relaxing, while your body and your immune system is literally being trained through heat stress.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good thing, actually. Stress, the good type of stress,
Hormetic stress, heat and cold, ice bath, does a similar thing, and absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, so you just explained the difference really between traditional sauna, which are also amazing, right? But the steam rooms with infrared sauna. But can we go a bit more in all the many health benefits of from using infrared sauna? Which I think is very important to cover. And what, with an infrared sauna, can we do that we cannot do with a traditional sauna?
Yeah, it's really a gray line. Like, I personally, because I enjoy both traditional saunas and infrared saunas, I don't really necessarily want to say that one is much better than the other. I think more about it in terms of practicality. So if we talk about sauna benefits, they're vast, they're endless, almost. Like, I think there was a study 3 years ago or 2 years ago where Finnish men over the course of 20 years were essentially, using saunas, and it was sort of identified how their mortality risk or their cardiovascular diseases, dropped, or the likelihood of having those diseases dropped. And they found out that the more frequently you go in the sauna, the less likely you're dying, essentially. So it was 4 to 7 times a week, reduced your risk of all-cause mortality by 40% or 48%. That's a severe number. So, and if we then break it down to the benefits, I mean, it comes down to strengthening the immune system, sort of literally having that hormetic stressor in the body, which makes us stronger. It makes the immune system stronger. Our skin, through the sweat, we obviously sort of get rid of dead skin cells, of old skin cells, and you refresh the skin. There's this term of glowing in the infrared sauna industry coming from New York and LA, where people are sort of, very much about how they look. And it's sort of swept over to London, to Manchester. So we have a lot of places that really offer these types of treatments for beauty reasons. Yep. We have detoxification, which I'm sure will speak a lot more. There's a lot of expert voices that say that infrared saunas detoxify the body a lot more effectively than a traditional sauna.
Especially when it comes to heavy metals and things like that.
We can talk about these sort of, about some of the ingredients that have successfully been shown to detoxify through the sweat. It's still not everyone fully understands it, and there's a lot of, skepticism about it. But fortunately, there are quite a few studies that really indicate that detoxification is successful. We see a lot of people coming to us with arthritis, which is a chronic inflammation of the joint. So it reduces inflammation, it reduces oxidative stress, it supports the mitochondria. We see people with Lyme's disease, coming to us, where essentially raising the core body temperature beyond what is comfortable strengthens the immune system. It increases the count of white blood cells. And at the same time, it sort of makes it very uncomfortable for any viruses and bacteria in the body to survive, because it slows down their reproduction. So you can see already there's an endless list. And, we can't really talk about cancer, although in Germany, hypothermia, which is really exceeding the core body temperature to levels that we can't recommend, is an accredited cancer treatment using infrared saunas. It's essentially a very intense sauna, so can't really buy these on the market, but the technology is very similar. Mm-hmm. And therefore, the list is literally endless.
Yeah. So, and just as indication for our listener here, how often and how much per session would you recommend to use infrared sauna? Like just simple basics.
Yeah, sure. Look, knowing the studies, I really think there's no reason to not do it daily. Obviously, it depends on your physiology. It depends how fit you are. We can talk about sort of detox symptoms. If you've overdone it, then people get headaches and feel fatigued. That's obviously a reason to not use a sauna. But generally speaking, preheat the sauna for 20 minutes. It's highly energy efficient, hardly, the one-person sauna consumes as much as a vacuum cleaner, to put that in perspective, right? So you preheat it for 20 minutes, you use it for 20 to 40 minutes. The longer you stay in there, the hotter or the higher your core temperature goes, which means, the more your immune system is stressed in a good way. So you just really have to watch yourself. You have to watch your physiology. And then it depends on if you want to relax because you're stressed. Maybe a shorter session is fine. If you want to detoxify because want to get rid of some heavy metals or some PCBs of phthalates, stay in there longer, do it more frequently. You have to really make sure that you hydrate well because you are sweating a lot. Maybe not in the first sessions.
When it comes to a question I wanted to ask is, what are the preparations before sauna? Like even the day before, what can you do? What
project, I think, if you did it just, sorry to interrupt you, but if you did it just once, just make sure that you take a glass of water with you in the sauna. Ideally, have one glass before, one glass in the sauna, and one glass after the sauna, or maybe two. And if you're a heavy sweater, there's this term of a salt sweater, people that sweat extensively, that lose a lot of salt. Add some salt into your diet, or some extra salt into your diet. Try to avoid heavily processed foods in general, and try to not eat up to 1.5 or 2 hours prior to going in the sauna, to not actually dilute or dilute your digestive fire, your digestive enzyme activity.
Yeah. So what I usually do myself is drink water like Vichy Catalan, which the sort of water was very rich with all these minerals and sodium, so electrolytes really, and I think it's perfect for it. So exciting. In terms of what we talked about the preparation, what someone should not do after the sauna.
Oh, that's a good question. I think a really, something that we always try to preach is don't actually take a cold shower immediately. Mm-hmm. And I know people will be saying like, what? I do want to cause that hermetic stress. I want to have my entire physiology challenged through cold stress. And I agree, it feels amazing. And I'm not asking to stop that. I'm just saying, think about your organ, think about your skin as the largest organ of the human body. And whereas a lot of people think it's a barrier, which means it's only, sort of only is from the outside, from the inside to the outside, it's actually not true. It's a sponge. Your skin absorbs particles. That's how creams, microplastics can essentially be absorbed through the skin.
We see this through testing, people who use
I agree.
Many people using our platform and testing, we see, cosmetics, it's just normal. And if they use a lot, it just goes up. So, there's no secret here, and people can argue, as much as they want, but there's so many studies, and seeing it in black and white for people using cream with all sort of things you don't want to have in your system, passing through this barrier, it's just, there's no barrier.
No. But it's still a very, it's still a very, very big understanding that people think, your skin or what you put on your skin is not necessarily being absorbed and enters your bloodstreams. It's not true. I mean, yes, it's not the major one. I mean, if we eat a lot of tuna, for instance, which can be heavily intoxicated with, heavy metals, we do see this in the body. But equally, we have to be really careful in terms of what we should put on our skin. So, and therefore, when it comes to that, think about, coming out of a sauna or coming out of an infrared sauna session, you're dripping in sweat, and think about the sweat. Obviously, you're losing minerals, but you're also, sweating out certain heavy metals, certain microplastics, PCBs, which can be found actually in plastic water bottles. These have all been shown to also be excreted through the skin. And some of them, for instance, cadmium, even up to 7 times more effectively through skin sweat, as opposed to internal detoxification organs such as kidney and liver.
And this is where actually we recommend the infrared sauna when we have this type of result, because we test for those, right? So
yes,
through our element tests, myself, I had very high level of cadmium, of mercury, of nickel. So all of those, which are the best process to do, to really is to have a bit of a supplementation strategy, but
agreed.
Really to help remove. But really the infrared sauna helped me massively to reduce those levels, and then retesting, seeing that it was all gone. Yeah, it was a bit magical, really.
Same here.
Yeah, because, and the symptoms going as well, brain fogs and else, right? So it's very important as well to understand, for people who listen to us, it's a great solution on its own, definitely, but we need to understand when to apply it in terms of, why someone should do that. And in any case, using it on a regular basis is benefit, but as a protocol, as part of a protocol, it's a very powerful tool to use for people who do want to use it to do it all the time. And as I explained, and you just explained as well, the heavy metals and all those different things are very important, especially if we live in cities like London, where the level of pollution are very high, and your environment is toxic, you like it or not. There's no way you can dodge the toxicity of your environment. And if you have genes variation that predispose you to already have a poor system that detox, you do need to support it, right? And definitely the use of infrared sauna, it should be into your, armory of tools that you can actually use to prevent the wrong things to happen over time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think to quickly finish the point, comes to not doing things. So, yes, take a shower, take a warm shower first. This will actually ensure that your sweat pores or glances are not going to close up straight away, but you'll be able to rinse off some of the sweat, some of the excreted skin cells, some of the toxins, and you will prevent a reabsorption. If you take a cold shower straight away, the barrier essentially closes, and and therefore some of the detoxification matters can actually be reverted and sort of can re-enter the skin again. So I'm not saying to not take a cold shower. Take a gentle warm shower first, and then put it all the way down to cold for maximum benefits. And one last thing, don't put any lotion, obviously, or anything on your skin when you go in there. You can potentially put a beauty mask. There are sort of some gimmicks out there, but I would just really say, don't do that. Have the sauna. After that, do some self-care. Put on a lotion if you want. Use some aloe vera, maybe some natural ingredients without any, microtoxins, microplastics, heavy metals whatsoever. And I think then you'll actually offer a really good session.
Yeah, you don't want to detox to retox, basically.
Yeah, that can happen. Agreed. But yeah, I think maybe just to add on the point that you've mentioned, I think it's super important what you just said. Like, the term detoxification is so heavily inflated. It's so out of perception. You can I'm pretty sure you can probably buy a detox cafe at Starbucks nowadays. And it's, it just really shows how far we've come. Like, it's not actually true. And the detoxification is a highly complex process. It happens through internal organs.
Actually, the better word for it is biotransformation, because there's different phases, right? So you have 7 phases of detoxification, but it's actually biotransformation. And the first 2 are very much, geared, like, your genetic will dictate the result almost, right? And also it's very important to understand for people who have certain variants in GSTM1, which is phase 2 detoxification. Those SNPs are very important. If you do have what we call a deletion, which means it's not working optimally, you're already impaired in removing those toxins. So you're quite likely, if you live, which is my case when I used to live in London, to always be overwhelmed with toxins. And sauna has become something I would do, at least 4 times a week. And that was a game changer, because removing those toxins, having the extra help is very important. And I think something we need to touch on as well is the lifestyle that goes with it, and the food you eat as well, which will enable those, switching on of those genes to express. Like cruciferous vegetables, certain supplements, like niacin and else. But we actually worked together. Mainly you did a lot of work on this on the ebook that we put together, which is an amazing. How many pages already? Like 30.
I think we're looking at 20 to 25 with a lot of different resources. Yeah.
Yeah, so 25 pages of, you know, good information. It's not overwhelming. It's just amazing, all documented and referenced. So, you know, and it's a great guide that should come with, you know, with this webinar anyway. So yeah, and what else would you like to add for our audience here on?
Yeah, I think what you just said is really important. I mean, understanding the detoxification phases is important, but I'm really a fan of giving the word detoxification, which I commonly use. I know you prefer different terminology, to giving that some thought and not actually just rushing on it. I used to be myself a person that would hear, oh, well, magnesium is good for you. Okay, I would just buy it online and I would just take it. I think for magnesium, it's probably fine because we're literally all deficient. Same with vitamin D, we're probably all deficient. But there are certain supplements that are a lot more complex. And I think especially if you feel that detoxification is something that you worry about, you know, then I think don't just run off, buy these supplements, which are labeled as detoxification supplements, and start a detox. You can actually do more harm than good. And that's essentially how we created this ebook, in order to bring more education to a lot of people that are interested in it. And what I really want to highlight is, I think, the beneficial synergy of what an infrared sauna, or what Clearlight Saunas can do, because we're sort of therapeutically great infrared saunas. And Omnos, with its testing kit, is like to really check in with yourself. What are the things, what are the symptoms you have? You know, brain fog. Are you maybe tired? Do you feel sudden energy dips? You know, are some of your, you know, do you have some detox patterns, skin issues in general? These can all be linked to detox, but we won't know for sure until we test it. So I think the first part is really checking with yourself, testing, doing a bit of a stock take, as if you had a kitchen shelf, you wanted to cook a meal tonight, you know, see what you got in there, and same with your body. Understand what toxins do you have, like what drives your issues, and then go about resolving these using an infrared sauna. Or if you can't afford one, you know, maybe go to your health club. Any sauna is better than no sauna, and really try to sweat. And I think if you do these 3 steps and you then retest it, say 3 or 6 months, depending on how long you want to test this and wind this, I guarantee you your results will not be worse, but they will actually have improved. Maybe not all of them, because supplements are missing, or, you know, other things, or genetical dispositions. But it's a great starting point.
I mean, there's so many case studies, and I am one of them. Actually, doing my own things, because I think this is how I got really interested into putting as a recommendation infrared sauna for the heavy metals, and also it worked for me, right? So it really made the difference when I did my envirotoxins test and my hair minerals, the before and after, you know, using over 12 weeks, this sauna was completely different, right? Everything was back into normal ranges, which was quite phenomenal to me, because it was very high, you know, very high rate, you know, was way above the what actually should be, you know, so the ranges. So yeah.
Right.
Anything else you want to add in terms of adjustment, you know, like exercise and overlap adjustment that people should do?
Absolutely. I think there are ways on improving your sauna session or your infrared sauna. In fact, if you look on www.infraredsauna.co.uk, I've written an ebook on this, 8 tips to improve your sauna sessions. And these, I've not just invented these myself. Obviously, we've sort of looked at, you know, at sort of scientific evidence. And one of the really great ways that you can do is doing anything that improves your core temperature prior to a sauna session. If you're fit, do a HIIT workout, high intensity workout. If you're not fit, take a walk. Anything that, you know, that helps you raise your core temperature and sort of, you know, helps your heartbeat a little bit faster through movement will essentially help you raise your core temperature and sweat more effectively in the sauna. If that doesn't work because you're in pain, take a hot shower, maybe take a hot bath, and then go into the sauna. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but you are preconditioning your body to heat stress, to hermetic stress, and the infrared sauna will take the activation energy and continue that if you are having issues and sweating.
It's like everything. People need to think of the body as a series of processes, right? And you know, just like if you want to go and tan, you know, like in the sun, if you wear sunglasses, you can actually prevent you, or actually you could get burned. You're more likely to burn because you haven't prepared your eyes to see the light. Okay, I'm going to be sun exposure. This chemical reaction happening. Your skin is going to get ready to take on this sun. And it's the same for the heat. It's the same for everything, but you know, it's just the way our body adapts to its environment. So it's very important to think this way rather than, oh, I'm going to from this to jump into this sauna and it's going to do the trick, and then I'm going to go straight away into an ice bath. And there's processes, you know, and that's why also breath work before cold. Yeah. Cold exposure is an amazing tool. You know, those two combined with the heat is even better. But you know, it's very important to do all those things.
Yeah, and I think the last one is really an infrared sauna almost feels like a cheat box. You know, if you're in pain and you can't walk, you can have an infrared sauna and it's going to help you with pain management and reducing inflammation. Is it going to be the holy grail that makes you healthier? No, hell no. Like, you know, it's a combination of sleep, stress, nutrition, you know, movement or exercise, and the infrared sauna. But I'm a firm believer that maybe in 10 years' time, we'll consider saunas not as a wellness appliance anymore, but rather as an evidence-based heat stress or hermetic stress box that actually helps our immune system to remain strong, to detoxify effectively, and potentially also help preventing, you know, degenerative diseases or autoimmune diseases. I know it's a bold claim, but infrared saunas really do have the power. And one last thing that is really important, you have to do some research. Infrared saunas vary enormously in price and quality. Some contain toxic materials where the wood is treated with chemicals. The heaters are way too hot and they can burn your skin. Electromagnetic frequencies, you know, which can have a negative effect actually on your cells, which is not just a hoax anymore, but it's actually been proven by external bodies such as the World Health Organization. All of these things are important to consider, because if you want to use a very cheap sauna to detox, you can do that, but you may potentially do more harm than good if the sauna itself is made from cheap plastics. And you see these unfortunately on the Alibaba or on Amazon UK for £150. Stay away. It's full of chemicals, glues and you don't have any control. There's no external infrared sauna organization that ensures a certain standard is met. It's literally the Wild West. Yeah. And my advice to you, invest once in a lifetime in a high quality infrared sauna that is good for your health, that comes with a lifetime warranty. And I guarantee you, this is going to be your best mate to make sure that you get your daily sweating.
We've done our research on those. That's what we're talking. That's what we were recommending.
Yeah.
You know, Clearlight, because definitely is the big difference. Yeah.
But it is like the Wild West out there. You see claims about vitamin D production, or I don't know, like it's like literally, and there's no body or anything that sort of really, you know, audits companies or claims. And I think therefore it's really important to advise people on the importance of a therapeutic, high quality grade infrared sauna.
Just today saw a keto bar in a shop, which was literally sugar. I was like, this doesn't make sense.
I know.
Why do you write keto here? And you look at the back, it's just,
yes.
Just wanted to, anyway. Yes, crazy. So, yes, well, thank you very much, Johannes. I think this was a lot of information already, but very good information. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and to, you know, be the creator of such a beautiful product. I hope people will enjoy. I'm sure people will enjoy listening to this webinar. And anything else? Where can people see and receive and do? Like the ebook we mentioned, and also where can we actually find all about your infrared sauna?
Yeah, I think, I mean, my name is Johannes. I think we'll obviously have the name mentioned in the show notes. You find me on Instagram, although I'm not very active on Instagram, LinkedIn, or obviously through our website. It's if you just type in Clearlight Saunas UK or just Clearlight Saunas, you will find us. The website is www.infraredsauna.co.uk. Really nice and simple. We got a warehouse, an office, everything in the UK. We've got a lot of places in the UK, London, Manchester, but also, smaller villages that have our infrared saunas, where you can literally go and try one and test one for yourself. And, or if you can't buy one, you can at least visit a commercial location and use one. So just get in touch, read up more. We have a buying guide. We got the ebook I mentioned on our website. We'll have this ebook that we just talked about, the detoxification ebook on our website, which I'm super excited about. And yeah, just get in touch. Would love to hear from you.
Good. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Johannes, and we'll speak soon.
Thanks so much, Thomas.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.